Hello, everyone, and welcome to Supercharging your JavaScript spreadsheets with an AI assistant. I am Chris Bannon. I'm the product manager for a product called SpreadJS here at Meshius. I was hired here a little over 18 years ago, and I've spent the last 15 years doing product management, more specifically in JavaScript. Um, so it's a passion of mine. I really love web technology, especially JavaScript. So today I'm going to try to bring that to AI spreadsheets, tie it all together. Um, Please, during the presentation, submit questions in the chat. I will definitely spend some time afterwards to answer questions, or if there's anything you'd like to see more information on, please do let me know. So today's goals are going to be exploring new AI capabilities in spreadsheets, demonstrating use cases with real world prompts, and highlighting productivity, usability, and ease of adoption. So I think we've all noticed a very significant trend over the last 6 to 12 months. AI is really taking off. Um, especially in the workplace. I would say in the last 6 months, it's really skyrocketed in the workplace. We're hearing more and more about it in our workplace, anyways. So some interesting metrics from different studies. AI adoption in businesses grew by over 250% in the past 5 years. 77% of organizations are exploring AI to enhance productivity, and AI tools are forecasted to boost labor productivity by up to 40% by 2030. Um, this rise of tools, I think, will be changing, our workplace. Certainly, I do think for the better. Um, and AI is projected to influence 80% of workplace tasks by 2026, and 54% of knowledge workers report improved creativity and productivity using generative AI tools. There are an infinite number of ways you can use AI in the workplace. Some examples are automated document drafting, intelligent data insights, creative brainstorming assistants, and our main topic today, which is AI in spreadsheets. Um, so, uh, you know, I will say, 5 years ago, even maybe 1 year ago, I was a bit skeptical of AI and how powerful it really was, how, useful it would really be in the workplace. Um, Certainly, it seemed like a fun tool, but after combining AI with spreadsheets, I really have seen a very powerful use case for AI. If you think about it, spreadsheets are something that are numerical, they're tabular, they're like a database on their own. So, really, computers in AI really deal well with something like that, with that construct. And I would say most humans don't. It's a tedious task to go in and try to understand data in a very large spreadsheet. So to me, this is, like the perfect combination because it takes a human, and it takes tasks maybe that they don't know how to do, or tasks that take a really long time or very tedious, and the AI can do them almost instantly. So really, using an AI assistant in spreadsheets, it's like sitting an expert power user down right next to your user. They can tell them exactly how to do what they want to do, or even do it for them. Unlocking a lot more capabilities in spreadsheets than normally would be possible, and definitely saving a lot of time. So we're going to look at three different use cases today. We're going to use AI to generate and explain existing formulas. We're going to have AI generate pivot tables to give meaningful analysis to a large data set. And then more granularly, we're going to use AI within cells of a spreadsheet to do little tasks like translation, gauge sentiment, or even ask prompts in general. All right. So that's what we'll be doing today. The first demo I'd like to show is using AI to generate and explain existing formulas. So let's dive into our demos here. So all the demos I'm showing today are online on our website. If you go to developer.meshius.com/spreadjs, you can access everything. We also have all the resources in the chat. Feel free to click those links. Feel free to follow along in these demos, or of course, explore them later after the presentation. So from this main website, I click demos. You'll see there's a lot of features and add-ons. The one we're talking about today is this AI assistant. So all three use cases are three separate demos. You can click any of these and play around with them at any time. All right, so let's jump into our first use case. You'll see here we have a web app, but it looks very much like Excel, right? This is uh, an instance of SpreadJS, including the designer ribbon component, and it really is meant to offer Excel-like behavior and experiences right inside your web application. So, developers can integrate this, and rather than sending their users out to use Excel, they can allow them to stay right in the application itself, um, and even integrate with their own data services and databases. So um, here we have a pretty basic spreadsheet, but there are some formulas in it. So let's say someone else authored this spreadsheet. I'm only viewing it and I'm trying to understand it. Um, if I click on a cell like this, grade C, in the formula bar, I can see that there's a bit of a complex formula. At first glance, this kind of looks like gibberish to me. I don't know what it does. I didn't write this, so I need to be careful and make sure I do understand it. So um, if we uh, do open up our, oh, 1 second, sorry about that. I'm going to reload the page. All right. So with this cell selected, if we open up our AI panel, um, you'll see that there's a breakdown of the formula in this cell. If I hit this question mark, it's going to send this formula to an AI agent. It's going to analyze it, and it's going to give me a full breakdown of exactly what it does. So first of all, it's saying it's assigning a letter grade based on a numeric value. Okay, very easy to understand. Now I know what this C means here. Okay, great. To go beyond that, it breaks down exactly what the formula is doing by saying it's using the let function with a bunch of if conditions. Furthermore, it says, okay, if the score is over 90, it returns an A. If it's over 80, it returns a B, et cetera, et cetera. And then it even gives a context example. So a very useful tool. We might we might run into more complicated formulas as well. So let's take a look at one more example here. This one is, so it's labeled as most frequent. All right, and now here we look in the formula bar or even in the formula editor, and it is very intimidating. If you're not an Excel power user, you probably have no idea what's going on in here. Even to me, this is a bit intimidating to try to break down exactly what this is doing and say confidently what it does. All right, so let's send this up to the AI agent and let it explain things for us. All right, so what exactly is this doing? This formula finds the most frequently occurring value within the range G2 to L2, but only if it appears more than once. Otherwise, it returns an empty string. And now here are breakdowns showing all these variables and sub functions and routines that are being used in this step-by-step process to get to our value. So, and each of these even has its own little, human explanation for what it does. So, a really great way of, sitting down, understanding a spreadsheet that someone else has built to be able to use it more effectively. All right. So that is explaining formulas, and that's only half the piece here. Um, let's say we want to add some formulas ourselves. So over here, let's type in top salesperson, select an empty cell below it. And now in this smart formula generation panel, I'm going to ask it the table one contains the sales data of each salesperson. Give me a formula to sum the sales of each person and then give the person with the highest total sales. All right. And that table one is just this little table over here. It contains this sales data. All right, so I sent this request. You can see this request is a little verbose. It's very specific. That is an important thing to do. These prompts that you give the AI are very important to be as clear as possible, to set boundaries and limitations based on what answers you want, and that way you're going to get the most accurate result. So up here, our formula editor is displaying this new formula that came back from AI. It looks correct to me. Um, so let's go ahead and apply that to our cell. And now we can see Johnson is the top salesperson coming from this data table. Now, in this case, there's no AI being saved into this cell. This is an actual Excel formula that's been injected into the cell. We only used AI to help us make the formula in this case. So we don't need to connect to an AI service or anything just to open up this Excel file. It was basically just while we're building it, we used it to help us out. All right, let's try one more. Let's say top product. And now over here in our generation panel, we're going to say, give me the sum of each product and the product with the highest total sales. Send that off. We should see a similar formula, but instead it's getting a sum of the sales of products. This looks correct to me. Let's submit it, and it looks like the desk is the highest selling product from our table. Another cool feature, if you're not confident that you understand exactly what this formula is doing, you can always hit that question mark. And now the AI is going to evaluate that formula, even though it wrote it, it's still going to evaluate it just as if it's a formula in any cell. And it's going to tell you exactly what it does, go through the breakdown so you can kind of make sure that it looks legit and that you're getting the right outcome that you want. All right, so that is formula, explanation, and generation. And please remember to ask any questions in the chat specific to any of these demos or this topic in general, and we will spend some time afterwards going through them. All right. Full disclosure, this is my favorite topic. Pivot tables are by far my favorite Excel feature. I think they give a tool to end users that they can basically build any report, get any answers to any questions about data they want without needing to involve basically me, the developer. It's like I give them the pivot table, pivot panel, and my end users can go crazy and get whatever reports they want from that. I think it's the most powerful feature in Excel. So let's take that up a notch and let's have AI help us generate those pivot tables. So let's get into our demo again. All right. We're in a different demo here, um, and you'll see we're still within SpreadJS, only now we have a pivot table that's already in our spreadsheet. And this pivot table is configured in a pivot panel on the right. So it basically, a pivot panel gives you a list of fields that are in your data source, and it allows you to drag and drop them into columns, rows, values, and optionally filters. And then that is what basically tells this pivot panel how to render, what column headers to use, what rows. If you want to add nested groups, you can, as well as adding subtotals, grand totals. It's again a very powerful tool. Now, where's this data coming from? It's often coming from just a separate flat uh, sheet with a lot of data in it. So here we have a lot of sales data. It includes salesperson, a car model, quantity, price, and total. So we are turning this long flat list of sales into this meaningful, basically report in a pivot table. So again, really my favorite feature. So how can AI improve this? Let's click A. So in this instance, the pivot panel has two separate features with AI. The A is smart pivot layout generation. So if I click that and open it, I get this panel down here where I can enter my requirement. So let's ask it to summarize the quantity of cars sold by each salesperson per quarter. So pretty straightforward. I'm just trying to build a very specific report. Someone probably came to me and asked me for this report. Instead of building it out in this panel, which is, can be challenging, I can just ask AI to do that for me. It builds the panel for me, configures it, and the pivot table automatically renders up here. So now I'm seeing cars sold by each salesperson per quarter. Right. Let's try one more example here. Now let's ask it to summarize the total sales of each salesperson by quarter. All right, so now it's reconfigured our pivot panel. We've rendered here, and now we're seeing the total sales for each salesperson per quarter. Um, you know, pretty simple, but very powerful. Now here's another cool feature. Let's say you just get access to this data source, and you're not really sure how you want to build reports, but you want to do some analysis. You do want to summarize it. There's also this AI suggestions panel. So if we open that up, it's going to analyze that data source, and it's going to recommend some different views, basically. So let's look at quantity sold by car and quarter. You can see the pivot table updates, the pivot panel updates. Let's see average price per car. That's an interesting one. You can see the different types of cars and their average price. Uh, and we can keep refreshing this to get new ideas from the AI agent. Let's see total sales and quantity by salesperson and car. Okay, so this is a little more complex. So you can see it's grouped first by salesperson and then by car underneath them. All right, so really powerful. This is kind of where you can see it's like sitting an expert down next to you. I would say pivot tables are a bit of an advanced use of Excel. It requires a bit more knowledge of the UI and the data, but being able to simply ask a question of what you want it to build, I think it makes it accessible to a lot more users. So again, We're making our users smarter and way more productive by offering this. All right, I'm going to refresh this page just to get that initial pivot view loaded in. And then we are going to look at this other feature, the I, which is intelligent data analysis. This is another cool one. So once you get a view in this pivot table that you're interested in analyzing, you click that I, and then you can ask it a question, very specific question, like who had the highest total sales in Q1? So of course we can look through these, compare them all, but why not just send this data and this question to the AI agent and let it get an answer? You'll see that it's kind of tabulating its answer here. It's not just like a one-line answer. It's actually showing you each person's totals and then coming to the conclusion Serena had the highest Q1 sales with 485,000. So really cool. You can ask pretty much any question where the answer is contained in the data set. All right, let's now ask which model car had the highest sales all year. Run it. Now you can see it's going to start building up its answer. All right, and it's showing us each car's total all year, and then it's coming to the conclusion that Mercedes had the highest total sales over the year with 1.6 million. All right. So yeah, that's pivot tables. That is my favorite feature in Excel. If you have interesting data stored in Excel format, I highly recommend exposing a pivot panel and a pivot table to your end users. Let them build reports. Let them slice and dice the data. As a developer, it'll save you a lot of time too, especially if you're a report developer. All right, so that is pivot tables. We have one more use case here. Um, Up until now, we've been kind of focusing on a higher level tasks, like having someone sit next to us, an expert helping us along the way. Now we're going to actually use AI at a more granular level. We're going to use it within a cell itself. So essentially, we'll be able to query an AI agent, get some kind of information, and then put that information in a cell. So this one is it's interesting in that we're actually using AI to render the cell, whereas previously, we were just using AI to help us build our workbook and our worksheet. Alrighty. So the first one I want to show off is text sentiment. Um, what we have here is a simple range of cells. These are reviews. So they're customer reviews for a restaurant. All right. So this is a fictitious restaurant where people have submitted reviews. Um, Now, over here, you'll notice the text sentiment. This data is not in the spreadsheet. This data is rendered by the AI agent. Um, we basically are using this text sentiment formula. So this is an AI formula. We're passing in the data of the reviews, and then we're also giving it three strings. These are just the words we want to use in the cells, depending on whether the review is good, bad, or neutral. So I can just show an example here if we would want to use good instead of positive. Now you can see it shows busy for a second there. That's because it's sending this data to the AI agent, and it's getting this data back, and then it's rendering it in the cells. So here we have um, a good review, a neutral review, a negative, good. So it's analyzing actually the meaning of this text and labeling it. So this is only a small amount of data, but you can imagine how this becomes very useful, especially if you're trying to make some kind of a big trend on whether a topic is positive, negative, or neutral. And very easy to implement here. You can just plop this right into cells or a range of cells and get your answers. All right. Um, Next up, we have translation. So you might notice this range of cells very closely resembles the range of reviews that we have in our spreadsheet. That's because it's a direct translation of that data. So again, this data here in Japanese is not in the spreadsheet itself. It's actually generated from AI and sent back to the spreadsheet to be rendered in here. Um, Essentially, all we're doing is we're passing this range of cells, which is the username and review, and then we are telling it the language. In this case, it's actually the culture. So it's like includes regional dialects as well. Um, and that's it. And then it's going to send that off and translate it. We can very easily change this. Let's say Spanish. It's sending that to the agent. It's analyzing it, translating it, and when it gets an answer, it'll render it in the spreadsheet. So now it's translated that for us. Let's try one more time. We'll do German. All right. This is one of those where I could see it also being very useful just as you're working in a spreadsheet. You might not want to save this data back into the spreadsheet, but if you come across something that you need to know the translation of, you plop a cell right next to it and you translate it right there just so you can see what it is, and then you could delete it and move on. It's just a nice way of while you're in Excel to get a quick translation if you need it. And of course, if you want to translate the data itself and keep that in the spreadsheet, another very useful feature. All right, so that's translation. The next one is uh, really powerful. This is essentially asking any prompt that you want. So this is called query. So it's just AI query formula. Um, With the query, you're passing in a string, which is uh, the query you want to ask, and then you're passing in a range of data. So in this case, the query we are asking is, please give me the capital of the country. And then the data we're passing in is this range of countries here. And then we're rendering that out to the right of that country column. And you can see that there is a capital listed next to each country, and that is coming from AI. So let's see here. We could change that to the biggest city, which is interesting. Not always the capital. Yeah, so some of them changed, some of them didn't. These are all the biggest cities in these countries. Let's try a different one here. The GDP of the country. So essentially, this is just making a prompt. It's sending it to the AI agent. It's sending the data and printing out the result it's getting. You can see very, very powerful. This one's, very open-ended in that you could really ask anything. It can be very complicated prompts. It can be very simple prompts like this. Let's try another. If we go up here, how about let's say someone's job is to go in here and write a reply to all these reviews. That's, a very common task. Let's insert a formula. So I'm going to go to formulas, more functions, AI, and I'm going to use query. So remember, this is that open-ended one. I'm going to add a string here, and this string is saying, write a friendly one-sentence response to the customer's review and make sure to acknowledge their specific content. Okay. As for the values, we're going to use this range selector. We're going to select these, hit enter, and apply. All right. So now we have a reply written. It's a short reply that acknowledges their specific review, some points they made in it, um, and we could, send these off right back to the customer. They even apologize if it's a negative experience, and point out the specific complaint. So I think that's another cool use case, something that could really save a lot of time. And it really is intelligent. It's analyzing the sentiment, it's analyzing very specific aspects of the review and making a proper response. All right. So that is it for our demos. Um, if you would like to get started using this, it's quite simple. What we've been building so far is in JavaScript. So they're very simple, just JavaScript applications. Um, no backend or server or anything like that, just a very simple client-side JavaScript app. We can install these two packages. So at meshes slash spreadsheets, at meshes slash spreadsheets AI add-on. Those are on NPM. We import them into our application. We initialize a workbook. So this is creating that spreadsheet. And then we configure and inject our AI. So here we're defining the model. And the model can be anything of your choosing. It can be a pre-trained model. If you have some, domain specific model that you've already trained up, you can absolutely use that. You pass in your key. Uh, Security concern here, you don't put this in the client JavaScript. You should have a proxy service that adds this key to the request before it sends it off to the endpoint. And then you add your endpoint. So today we've been using OpenAI, but anything that follows the open standard for AI endpoint, you can use. So it's not just OpenAI. It supports any number of services and any number of models of your choosing. So that's it. Once you do this configuration, you will see the AI panels pop up in SpreadJS, and your end users will immediately be able to start leveraging these AI assistants. So today, what we've used is SpreadJS. We've used some add-ons of the AI assistant, the designer ribbon component. That's if you want that Excel-like ribbon at the top of your spreadsheet. The pivot table, we spent some time on that. Um, and then there's other add-ons we have available as well. We have a data charts add-on, a Gantt sheet add-on, report sheet add-on. We also have a brand new collaboration add-on. That enables real-time collaboration. So think Google Sheets or Excel Online, where you can have multiple users getting into the same spreadsheet. They see each other in there. They see each other's changes. There's even conflict resolution in there. Um, and I should say the AI assistant add-on and the collaboration add-on are currently in developer preview. Those are planned for release in V19, which will be coming later this year. But they are fully baked. They're ready to use. We want you to test them out. The demos, the docs, they're all online and available. So I highly recommend trying them out yourself, installing this in your test environment and try it out, see how you like it. We'd be really happy to hear your feedback as well. So please send us feedback on these while they're in preview. We have some more resources about the AI add-on. We have a blog that breaks down all the features, how to use them. We have the demos online, and then we have documentation that can walk you through setting it up and integrating it very thoroughly. Again, those are in the chat, so feel free to click those links. And then, of course, I think we're all curious and wondering, what the impact of AI is going to be, what the future will be. Personally, I do think it'll kind of be like when computers entered the workforce. I think most workers will use it in some way to do things more easily and efficiently. Some workers will use it more than others, but I do think it'll be a very common tool that's used, not necessarily replacing people, more so, a tool to be used by the workers. Um, so really, I'd say think about that when building your applications, when planning your roadmap. Consider, what things can you offer to your users, that where AI can assist them. Um, Personally, I think the spreadsheets is the perfect use case for it, um, in helping users maybe do things they don't want to spend time on. So think about that in the future. I do think it's a trend that's not going away. So start thinking of how you can benefit from it, and you can basically give your users power tools with it. All right, so it's time for Q&A. Did we have any questions come in? All right. Does SpreadJS use AI to generate source code? No, no, we do not. All of the code in SpreadJS is written by a team of engineers. So no AI is used to write our code. Good question. What AI providers do you support? So, obviously OpenAI, that's what we're using today, but anything that has a standard endpoint and model you can use. So, for the last I looked, there were like five or six, pretty big providers that we've integrated with. But pretty much anything that follows a standard you can use. Is the AI assistant included with SpreadJS? Uh, it is an optional add-on. So if you want to get those features, benefits, it'll be an optional add-on. Certainly some people won't want to use it, and some people really will. If you do, you can purchase that additional add-on and integrate that into your SpreadJS application. Any other questions? How accurate are the responses provided by the AI assistant? Are there any quirks or concerns to be aware of? I would say, this is something to really pay attention to. Um, uh, the prompts you use are very important, so make sure you are as specific as possible. Make sure you explicitly say if you don't want any types of answers. And try to be as clear as possible when creating prompts. And then, of course, the results you get, you should be monitoring them, you should be reviewing them. And I would, I would say be very careful if you're making really big decisions based on data and analysis. Definitely double check it and verify the results before just uh, following them blindly. But it's very accurate. Like I said, the computers are very good with numbers and spreadsheets. That's what they're designed for. There's not a lot of subjective thought that goes into these things. That's why I think it's such an amazing tool. It's just they can do things way more quickly than we can. So it's an excellent matchup. All right. Well, I believe that's it for the questions. So, with that, I'd like to thank you for coming. Please, please, please try out this AI assistant. At least try the demos. Think of some cool ideas to test it out. And please reach out, send us your feedback. We'd like to hear it. Is there anything missing? Is there anything we can improve on? Um, please do that. And with that, we'll wrap up. Thanks, everyone. See ya.